Hello everyone, in this video you're going to see a record-breaking chess game. White sacrificed all 8 pawns on the board. That's right, all 8. No one has ever managed to break this record. This game was played in the late 19th century between a doctor and a strong London chess player, William Ballard and Joseph Fagan. Ballard was playing white, and we'll follow the game from his perspective. From the starting position you'll notice white is missing a knight. That's because William gave his opponent a handicap, a full piece, to balance out his own skill advantage. White begins with e4. Black replies e5, and William plays the king's gambit, immediately starting to sacrifice pawns. The first pawn goes with f4, black captures and white develops the knight. While black wastes time gobbling pawns, white develops pieces and builds initiative. Black brings out a light piece, bishop to e7, white sharply replies with bishop to c4. Black has an extra piece and aims to trade as much material as possible to convert that advantage. They play bishop to h4 check, hoping that once the white king moves, white will lose castling rights. But Ballard sacrifices another pawn, playing g3, blocking the bishop and attacking it. Black accepts, captures on g3. Then white castles kingside, offering yet another pawn h2, but here black realizes taking that pawn might be risky. They have development problems. They'd like to develop the kingside and castle safely. If they capture on g3, rook f1 opens up, the bishop is active, the knight jumps in, the queen joins, and white could launch a brutal attack. So instead, black develops the knight to h6. If white takes on h4, black can recapture with the queen, and the knight on h6 now protects the weak f7 square. White can't take it right away. White continues building, d4 controlling the center and opening the dark square bishop. Black castles kingside, defending f7 and hiding the king. Since black doesn't want to take the pawn on h2, white does it themselves, capturing on g3 and offering another pawn. Black accepts, gladly eats it, breaking apart white's kingside shield. But the white king is its own bodyguard. It steps to g2, attacking the bishop on g3. Turns out the black bishop doesn't have many squares, only d6 and h4. Black retreats to d6. So far, white has sacrificed 3 pawns on the king side, opening up their own king, but also lines toward the opponent's king. Rook to h1 follows, threatening to take the knight on h6. If that knight falls and the rook invades, white will get massive initiative. Black responds with queen to f6, reinforcing the knight on h6. Now, if white takes it, black can recapture with the pawn supported by the queen. White plays e5, forking the bishop and the queen, but black has it all figured out. They play queen to g6, delivering check along the way. White must move the king. King to f1, and the knight jumps to f5. Black offers the bishop as bait, but if white takes it, black plays knight to g3, forking rook h1 and king f1. So white first brings the rook to g1, hitting the queen. Queen under attack, bishop still hanging, but knight jumps to g3 anyway. It seems like white could take the knight, and after that the bishop, but don't forget, white is already down a knight from the opening. If they take here, black ends up with a rook for a minor piece, and white's king remains exposed. So after knight g3, check, white plays king to f2. Black keeps pressing, knight to e4, centralizing. White king retreats. Rook g1 is defended. The queen can't take it because the knight on f3 covers. But now both the queen on g6 and bishop on d6 are hanging. And what black does next shows us that this wasn't just some casual player. Bishop to b4 check, pulling the bishop out of danger while giving check. White doesn't have time to capture the queen on g6. Stepping away with the king is risky. White plays c3, offering 2 more pawns to blunt black's momentum. Black accepts. Knight takes c3, also threatening the queen on d1 and potential discovered checks with the bishop. White must take the knight. The capture, and then bishop takes c3, check. Rook on a1 is now also under attack. In this sequence, white ends up sacrificing 2 more pawns. King moves to f2, but black's queen is still under threat on g6. So black doesn't have time to grab the rook. Instead, the queen counterattacks. Queen to c6. Now, rook a1 and bishop c4 are both hanging. White has a decision to make. They're still down material, and either the rook or bishop is going to fall. They decide to save the bishop, moving it to d3, preserving the powerful piece. Now, both bishops point at the king side. The knight will join in. The queen is ready to follow. But yes, white is giving up the rook on a1. Black takes it. Bishop captures on a1. So now black is up a full rook and 4 pawns. Sounds winning, but most of their pieces are still asleep, and the king is not safe. In this moment, white sacrifices another pawn, d5. This pawn is undefended, bait. If black takes it with the queen, white plays bishop takes h7, check. Then wins the queen on d5 and takes over. Black sees the idea and plays queen to b6, check. White activates their bishop with bishop to e3, hitting both the queen and the bishop on a1. Black replies with queen to b2, check, defending their bishop. King to f1 from white. Now black has a problem. The bishop on a1 is stuck, blocked by the queen. But the queen can't move or they lose the bishop. So black tries f5, cutting off the diagonal from the dangerous bishop. That bishop was eyeing h7 after all. Here the doctor starts to slip a bit. He plays bishop to d4, attacking both queen b2 and bishop a1, but the strongest move for black would have been a sacrifice. After bishop to d4, they capture the a2 pawn instead. That's not a bad option either. But after white takes the bishop on a1, black recaptures the queen on d5. Looks like black was in time trouble here. Meanwhile, white has now sacrificed the pawns on a2 and d5, but the mission isn't complete. The doctor must now sacrifice his final pawn, e5. So white plays e6, the strongest move. This is the last pawn on the board for white, but black can't take it just yet, because this opens up the long diagonal for the dark square bishop. The pawn on g7 is hanging. Black must cover with g6. Now they're somewhat stabilized. But the white pawn keeps going. e7, hitting the rook and threatening to promote. Black stops it with the rook, but white plays queen to e2. Now black can't take the pawn, and white's queen gets access to the second rank. Black plays queen to c5, but they miss a huge threat. White's plan is not to defend the pawn, but to swing the queen to b2. The weak dark squares around black's king spell doom. There's just no way to defend. White goes through with the idea. Black has to take the e7 pawn, or its mate with queen to g7. So black captures on e7. White has now sacrificed every single pawn, not one left. And now, there's no stopping mate. Queen to h8, check. Only move. King to f7. And now, a beautiful finish. Knight to g5, checkmate. The queen and bishop cover all the black squares. The queen controls the 8th rank, and the doctor's knight delivers the fatal stab on f7, also covering e6. If your mind was blown by this absolute masterpiece of tactical wizardry, make sure to smash that like button. And if you're passionate about legendary games and want to see more deep dives like this, hit the subscribe button and join our community. Your support truly keeps this channel alive and allows me to keep sharing these stories. Thanks for watching, friends. I'll see you in the next one.